advantage. Kwa nini Nyanza iko na uwezo zaidi if you compare it with other particular regions in terms of this particular sector? I think we all know that the communities that are domiciled around this particular region, when it comes to their cultural expression and ability to go out there and show who they are, I mean, you always find it that the Nyanza region, in terms of all the diverse communities that are here, whether it is in the music, whether it is in terms of film art, whether it is in terms of other creative expressions, tuko na watu ambao hiyo, it is something that they are like born with it. It is something that they make little effort to be able to make the creativity work for them. So in terms of stories, in terms of content, in terms of even things that can be able to be made into stories like in films, music that can be sung, I think we know even internationally in terms of putting Kenya in the international map, when you start mentioning who has been able to reach there, you'll find that all these names are coming from this region. And even if you go into film art, acting, you remember the big deals about Oliver Litondo, Lupita. These are indicators that this particular region has what it takes. And in terms of comparative advantage, that is something that puts them in a good fit to be able to take advantage of this. And then we talk about the so-called pre-existing talent and youth bulge. This kind of sector where we are dealing in terms of creativity, artistic excellence, it happens a lot between, I mean, anybody who's dealing 40 years below. The huge advantage they have is that there are people who are out there experimenting things, trying to find the artistic voice, and we've got a huge, huge, huge number who are already doing things on their own. That is huge in this particular region. So it is agreeable that we have what it takes, but the sector is simply a sleeping giant. Kwa nini? It is simply because I think we are still stuck up in our own miseducation. Watu walienda shule, remember the song, so many vijana, alafu mukishamaliza masomo, utapata kazi nzuri sana. And anybody who ends up being an artist is seen to be wayward, weird. Mtu ambao ameshindwa na shule, bado anaendelea na kucheza. That has stuck in terms of our own mindset. And because of that, we need to be able to find a way of coming out of that and realizing that this particular area is a profession as much as others, whether in terms of the dignity of working there, income and changing lives, even in terms of wealth generation. So what do we need to do? We need to change that mindset. We need to have a mind shift so that you can be able to find a way in which if your child comes to you and says that, for me, Daddy, I want to be a comedian, you don't dismiss that like this is ending up being a nobody. And that is only possible if the infrastructure can be able to support that comedian to be, that musician to be, that dancer to be, the writer, the designer. If we can be able to make that shift in terms of our acceptability of this sector, then we're leading somewhere. Imekwama tena. As I go towards, and so we need to be able to make this mind shift at all levels. We ourselves as family units, we ourselves as people who are in leadership positions at the devolved government level, people who are at leadership positions at the national government, people who are dealing policy and implementation across all sectors. So for us to be able to have infrastructure that supports this particular sector, whoever is in the education sector will see the meaning of why there must be a film school, there must be a dance school, there must be a music academies all across different regions and different counties. Because they know that that is where the big makers of what it is that makes money for this particular sector are going to be trained. So back there, Palume Peter. Yeah, so we got time is not on our side. So the region needs to really move fast to be able to take advantage of this. Otherwise, tutawachwa nyuma. We'll continue consuming those Nigerian movies, and we're not seeing ourselves and our stories as Kenyans, as Nyanzans, within this particular output within the sector. So we need to co-opt cultural expressions so that it informs policy across all the levels at the formulation stage as well as implementation. So if you're talking agriculture, you ask yourself, what is the possibility of making agricultural outputs to inform culinary art so that certain particular places are destinations for those people who are looking for food culture and food ways, which is a big, big thing, whether they are tourists or whether they are people who are simply celebrating local cuisine. When you're talking about infrastructural development and urban generation, you're definitely turning spaces that should be able to work to the population. If you're having, for example, the Kisumu County plan for the waterfront, what is it that you're designing there, and what kind of experiences people will have in there if you don't make sure that the arts, design, and the cultural heritage of this particular region informs even the physical facilities that are going to be built in there. Then we need to be able to create the ecosystem that supports this particular sector. What is it that will make it possible for us to create our own things, consume it, because until the locals consume and celebrate their own creativity, it is very hard for you to attract people from elsewhere, even if you're thinking of reaching to other markets. So people need to be able to make decisions, whether as private investors or as government-related public investors, investing in expos, conference exhibitions, well-profiled creative activation events like music concerts, community festivals. I think juzi kulikuwa na ile Pinylu, and you can just remember the number of people and the kind of effect it had across all other service areas, be it hotel, be it food, be it transport. And if those events are things that are planned well within the region, it will change people's lives economically. Endelea mbele. Karibu tumalize. This will start if at the level of the counties within the region, they put in place social investment funds for content economy. And that means you make sure that investment is put in creating those studios, creating those particular spaces, experimental hubs, where the creatives are creating these creative products and services. Because that is where the golden goose lays the eggs. And if it is not well secured in terms of investment in there, then nothing possibly can come out, and money needs to be put in there. If you're producing the next Ohangla kings, whether they are 3 or 4, it means that they must have been identified and a process of making sure that they can be able to penetrate the local market and put that music as identity of our own sound elsewhere is also pushed through wise investments. You need to be able to identify what we are calling creative cultural industry spillover. People talk about tourism, people talk about destination marketing, lakini watu wanaenda huko kuona nini? They are going to experience the heritage, either in terms of the landscape, they are going to experience the people in there, the culture. So those are spillovers that this cultural industry makes possible. So there are some sectors that cannot work without the culture working. And we need to be able to make sure that those are part and parcel of changing this story. Ensure that the private investors, people who are looking for the next actor, people who are looking for the next good content developer, people who are looking for the next great musician, can be able to make sure that they come for events that put them together in terms of partnering in investment processes. So those needs to be areas in which monies are put and planned properly so that we know that this particular year we got something like 4 or 5 of them in different areas. Fashion wako na yao, watu wa music wako na yao, people who are dealing with cultural sites, wakina Kitmikai, Thimblichohinga, the Whipping Stone. How do you make sure that those cultural sites are places that people can be able to see possibility of investing and getting returns on the investment? So partnership is a big, big deal. So what is the route to success? Ensure that you recognize. Saizi, if you talk about guys who are practicing art and other creative endeavors, they're usually on their own. They've got their own associations, they've got their own collectives, but then there is no formal engagement where policy issues and decisions are taken at the level of the devolved government and also at the national level. So we need to be able to make sure that they are brought in together. You sit through them, whether it is in terms of county development plans, they are made to contribute so that whatever investment that happens and informed with these particular plans, make sure that they exploit what the practitioners within the sector has. And that continues at the national government level. And again, if you're looking for partners from outside, big investors and people who are looking at this destination as something that they can sell to the rest of the world, ensure that there's formality of sitting down and being able to work this thing together jointly. If that works, then there is some hope that creativity can actually change lives. The talent is there, the stories are there, the cultural sites in terms of heritage are there in the whole of this particular region. They give different stories from stories that you can get in other parts of Kenya or in other parts of Africa. So if this is taken seriously and it is something that is informing decision-making at the highest levels and also organizing the sector with the practitioners, then we've got a chance that we'll be able to join in the band of those who are making wealth and millions and billions of shillings within the cultural and creative industry sector. Thank you.
So I'll repeat the reason I don't come to these things. This is an incredible story here. How many of you are in this room who remember Luoch Kanindo? Just raise your hand. Okay, your hands down. Thank you. How many of you in this room know that Benga music in Malawi, Zambia, and Zimbabwe is called Oluoch Kanindo music? Just 2, 3. Hallelujah. 4. In Zambia, Malawi, Zimbabwe, parts of South Africa, Botswana, Benga music is called Oluoch Kanindo. How many of you know that by the 1960s, Oluoch Kanindo would be chaperoned in a private jet to go to Europe to sign deals on music production? Just one person. That's just what's available here. I'm sure the governor of where Oluoch Kanindo comes from is here. They don't know that they can have an Oluoch Kanindo festival of Benga every year that would bring in millions. If you are here and you are listening, just take the idea to them. Soapstone, sir. 3 minutes. You should just have carried a soapstone. You show them and you say, invest in this.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon once again. You see, that's how much soapstone is forgotten that even they forget our names. Well, my name is Mogusu Momanyi. Mogusu Momanyi is born and raised in Kisii. What we do at Bespoke Soapstone every day is that we wake up to change the status quo. And we do that by believing that by changing the status quo, we'll be able to change the course of the industry. But how do we do that? We innovate what our forefathers started. And I stand today, I honor all the grandfathers of us who started the soapstone mining 60 years ago. Without them starting, we wouldn't be here. And I always say we appreciate our parents for taking us to school. What you do for us is to go back to the village and transform the village with the education you gave us. And today, so interestingly, I knew we'll have a panel, and I had questions to respond. And I'll respond to those questions that were raised. But I would like to appreciate Mr. Agan for all you've raised. I mean, all those are perfectly okay. When I look at soapstone industry, it's at par to what you've shared. You know, especially when I decided to get into this industry, the biggest challenge was to encourage the sculptor that there is hope again. There was that sense of deflation of possibility. You know, after doing it for 60, seeing their fathers do it, seeing themselves do it, their children have given up because of self-inflicted loss of possibility of the future. and that has resulted to the industry not having younger people come into it, and I hope that my presence there will make their children see that by their transformation of their income, that they too can get back to the same industry that their fathers have been. And so I'd like to submit to you today, for NYANZA to rise, soapstone must be part of the story. And for NYANZA to rise, soapstone must be included in this plan and journey. And again, for NYANZA to rise, soapstone must be recognized. And I would like to appreciate our friends who are in government. I'd like to admit today, even the private sector really hate you. But today I have to admit, I have grown leaps and bounds by the people in government. It's because we have always foreseen you guys as corrupt. But even in those systems, many of you have good hearts and great hearts to support industries. And I would like to submit that I was invited here because of some of them who've seen our work. And keep being the good hearts out there, because that's what industries need like us. And to look at soapstone as its state right now, unfortunately, it's not the best as it was back in the 90s, because today, when people visit our workshops and our flagship stores, the first thing they say, soapstone was big in the 90s. Soapstone was big in the 2000s. So where did it go? And I keep telling them, that's why we're here, so that soapstone can experience a new golden age, that soapstone can have a place at the table. And I say that because I am deliberate every day working on unique designs that our sculptors can work at. And I try to tell them, we have to balance between academia and skill and market. And that's what you can attest to this. The problem of the art industry is a mismatch between academia, and Prof can say that, the skill itself and the market itself. There is a wide disarray. And when you bring these three together, then you're able to make an industry move forward. And we do that every day by looking for designers and looking for ideas we can work on. Because if a sculptor can do pieces that are not being bought, then the industry is dead. There's no income, right? And what we do every day is to move them to a place whereby they can move their creative juices to another level that can bring more pieces that people will design to want and buy. And so at its state right now, not the best, but there is hope. There is hope when young people come together and try to change what has been failure before. But the biggest help, and I'm glad you're here, many of us, if you ever sit anywhere where they're discussing art and culture and all that, remember that the biggest investment we could ever do the soapstone industry is to allow soapstone have a geographical indication, IP. It's the IP that sets the stage. That's why Tanzanite stone has been what it is today. That's why Savorite stone has been what it is today, or gemstones, because globally they are recognized. Soapstone is ideally recognized globally just as Kisi soapstone. You guys, when you work in the government, we invite you to work with us, because we have to work with you to help this get started. And so that will help the origin of the stone be a standard mark globally. And markets like European Union and the US will receive this stone as a mineral, not just as any other stone as it is today. And the biggest opportunity for the investors in the room, do what an investor has done in Arusha cultural heritage. We need a soapstone museum. If you ask me, it's possible and doable. We need sculpting enterprise that will make will bring back the law. Because you see, let me. Okay, for those who don't know, maybe I'm very fast for you. Soapstone is mined in the quarry manually. After that, it's put on. It's so sad. I don't like it though, and that's why I'm here to change the industry. It's put on ngazi, okay? Then mtu anasimama mbele mwingine nyuma, they lift it from the quarry. From the quarry, it goes to the workshop. All physical hard labor, all right? And that in itself is so hard for these old men today, and so for those who would like to join us in this great journey of transforming the soapstone industry, we need you to come and help us bridge that gap between the quarries and the workshop. We need some sense of machinery to help us transport. But the biggest thing that will happen is not only you guys coming together, but moving this as a shared story. Soapstone has gone down because it has lacked a shared story. Where we work today at Sarit Center, and you're open to visiting us when you're at Sarit, is that even Kenyans themselves come and ask us, what are you selling? you know? And so upon our shoulders is a lot of work to do in terms of digital storytelling. And we need actually partners in that space. If you know someone who's seated in a grant somewhere, we don't need much from them. We just need some little investment. We just do digital impact storytelling. That will change the industry. Right now, when our workshops or at our brand shops, people come and ask, what are you selling? Are you selling soap? What is this? And we moved our business from being called Art Deco to Soapstone itself. So they come, actually, every day we're educating Kenyans what we are doing. But anyway, there's hope that out of... so this, like a sense of financial inclusion is out of the context. I have tried to make sure that what we do in our work is that we make sure we pay our sculptors every Friday without fail, even if we don't sell that particular piece they worked on. And I can't do bank transactions. And I'm forced to always do loads and loads of M-Pesa transactions. But again, that's why academia, industry, and government and private sector are here today. Like today, as much as there's a Kendu Bay KCB, someone from KCB, we can open a bank at Tabaka. And those sculptors can walk into the teller and can access more credit, you know? And so we are picking an industry that has been forgotten, but with hope that it has potential for the future. I see that potential every day because of the work we do. And I'd like to submit to you today is that this journey is not lost. Last year itself, our revenue and what kept our sculptors busy is corporate work. We do a lot of trophies, a lot of souvenirs. So that has changed us from doing those, and I always tell them, I want us to one day exit Masai Market where we put things on the floor and display them there. That will stop finally, you know? And so we're trying to move them into what will corporate desire, what will homes desire, you know? And that's why I said the beauty of industries in creative economy is when you have actual practice, entrepreneurial mindset, the skill itself, and as well as the place of academia to give us research like Daktari. And finally, I'd like to submit to you the greatest thing that will ever happen to this industry is impact storytelling. I, myself, and our staff, we said we'll never come and borrow money for the sake of it. We will work our way to earn that money. And how we'll work our way to earn that money is to give you pieces that will have honor in your hands. Whoever you will gift, whoever you'll serve, will feel honored by that particular piece of art. And so, for NYANZA to rise, Soapstone will be part of the story. It may take some time, but hang in there. Just like I tell our sculptors every day, hang in there. There is hope. And thank you for what you've shared. I hope that you will share to more people in the same industry that they can change as well. Thank you, my fellow panelists. Thank you, all of you. It's been an honor to be here.
Yeah, I mean, they say what? Don't look the gift horse in the eye. Look, I came here. This is an art thing. We artists talk. So if there's pressure for time, let people look for another room. I want my artists to talk. Yeah, I won't stop these guys from talking, honestly speaking. Obata has been here since morning. I know the room we should have exited at 4, but how do you get artists to speak for 5 minutes? I'm sorry for the organizers that I was in this compound at 8:15, and the sessions began at 10. I'm sorry, I speak this way, that's why I never get invited to a lot of events. I speak a lot of my mind. Yes. They began at 10:30 instead of 8:30. So I want my artists to speak, because all of you will live here and you will go look for a pub, for music, for dance. This is art. All of you will buy Soapstone, and even if it means I don't come back here tomorrow, the day after, my artists or people in sports will speak. The story of Soapstone, if you don't know, reaches the deepest parts of Europe and not politics or anything else. So, Obat Masira, talk to us. The organizers, please, will bear with me. My artists will speak. Once they finish, we'll just walk away and go away. But we cannot. We lost 2.5 hours. They got to speak. I'm sorry about this.
Thank you very much. I'm happy that our former MP, Mr. Olago Aluoch, is here. Olago has been part of part and parcel of the cultural development in Kisumu. So I'll look at this presentation from a different point of view. I've been involved in theater since 1980. I've been involved in theater since 1980. So I'm a veteran. And through arts, I've been able to perform in different parts of the world. In 2006, Misango Arts Ensemble was selected to represent Africa during the Third World AIDS Congress. I was the director. In 1984, I was among the first Kenyan directors to direct plays in England. In 1985, I started Kisumu Cheltenham Youth Exchange Program that enabled a number of people, artists, teachers, and everybody to go to England. And now in Cheltenham, there's a town that we started this project with in 1985 known as Cheltenham. It's called the Kisumu Ndogo of England. So basically, I want to look at art from the past, the present, and the future. What has been ailing art? And I wanted to be given slightly more time because I wanted to look at art from a different perspective and the challenges that we face, that is why we are here. I think there's what is called misconception about art. People see art as just extension of entertainment. Art is not entertainment. Entertainment is just part of art. I would say 20%, that is entertainment. And I want to start by quoting two great scholars. One is known as Austin Bukenya. Austin Bukenya, I've worked with Austin Bukenya since 1983. I've known Austin Bukenya, he's a friend. But this is what Austin Bukenya states about performing arts. He says, performing arts are not mere entertainment and pastime, but a crucial process of alerting, emancipating, empowering our people, especially the youth, for meaningful and purposeful development. So art is not entertainment. Then I move to Professor Wole Soyinka. Professor Wole Soyinka, through Okotpa Bitek, came to Kisumu at the Social Center, where I'm the CEO. And this is what he said. The writer is the visionary of the people. He anticipates. He wants. The art is the solace, and art is the vision. So I want to give you a historical perspective of art in Kisumu and beyond. So in 1960, the first European director of social services and housing, Mr. Manderfield, who created the Kisumu Social Center in 1960. He realized that there was passion in terms of arts, in terms of culture, and in terms of sporting. So he created the social center. So he created the social center to be a center for youth development, to be a center for creative space, to be a center for expression. Then, after that, the first director, Ezra Gumbe, was also passionate about arts and creativity. So when Okotpa Bitek was exiled to Kisumu because of the autocracy of the president of Uganda, he became the extramural tutor, but also the director of arts and culture at the Kisumu Social Center. During that particular time, art could be able to soar like eagle. And he created a space for artistic cultural expression. Every Thursdays, they were stimulating public discourse. There were performances. There were debates. Alliance High School versus Maseno High School. Participants were from Alliance, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Nyong'o. And so he wanted to create an artistic space. So what happened? These are the challenges that art, because the people managing art space are technocrats, people with no idea about what is art. They see art as an extension, the way the politicians abuses art. Why do they abuse art? Look at Mobutu Sese Seko, Kanda na Biso na Mobutu. So that the society, the artists are being misused so that they can praise. But music can also be used for something positive. So now, as I was saying, Okot Babitek played a critical role by creating the foundation of arts and culture. And this region was respected in terms of that. And every year, the University of East Africa would have an annual cultural festival at the Kisumu Social Center, where Luo scholars from Dar es Salaam, Makerere, and University of Nairobi would converge. At that time, people used to celebrate art. Art was very important. Art was very important. Then my friend, Professor Odhiamba stated, he's talked about Oluoch Kanindo. I want also to look at the art, and I want to look at the music industry that promoted this region and took this region to the next level. So the sound that changed America, the history of Motown in Detroit and Harlem Resonance in New York in 1930s. The history of Motown and Berry Gordy's innovation and resilience. Berry Gordy founded a cultural movement known as Motown Records that brought together people from all walks of life through its unique sound and compelling narrative. Berry Gordy works on the production lines at the Lincoln Mercury car plant. He translated his assembly expertise into creating music, Hitsville in Detroit, which I was there last year. He founded, so Motown began with only $800 from a loan from Gordy's family. Godtown now is worth 8,600 US dollar. And they used to produce great artists from Motown. That is where we had people like Jackson 5, Millie Jackson, all these great things. Okay, so basically, what I want to say is that there were people who were so passionate, who are not technocrats, but out of their passion, they created space. And that is why I also came up with the Oluoch Kanindo and the Benga Revolution in Africa, the Luo Golden Music Era, 1960 to 70. And I wanted to underscore, who is Oluoch Kanindo? How did Oluoch Kanindo revolutionize Luo music in Africa and beyond? That was through its resilience and innovation. It did inspire the growth of the Luo music era. And that is why those days, all the radio stations from South Africa would be playing Luo music up to Nigeria. So what he never told you that if you go to Zimbabwe, that song's called Sungura and Kanindo. So basically, even as we speak today, the Luo Benga music is still very, very great. Now, I want to come up with proposals. And I'm talking about the Department of Culture. And as I said earlier, the Department of Culture in NYANZA have not been particularly passionate about the arts. To this end, I want to come up with some proposals. One, the County Arts Endowment Fund should be firmly established and managed by the artists themselves, and also relevant official appointed by the artists. Two, sponsorship of creative expression in NYANZA, because all these artists have never been supported. I don't know whether arts are being supported elsewhere out in NYANZA, but in NYANZA, I've never seen art group that has been supported, particularly in Kisumu, where I've been for many years. Number 3, technocrats and the creative economy space development. It is firm belief that the continuous presence of technocrats in this creative space will kill the vision of arts. The technocrats cannot be the driver of this cultural revolution. Number 4, to ensure that the appointments of the county executive committee members should be, that is the governor, should be people with passion in art. May I get some water, please? Water. Now, number 5, partnership and the networking by ways of linkages. Thank you. Creating more functional cultural center. You have cultural centers that are just building. That's not a cultural center. This is a problem. The governor proposed to have a one-stop music film studio in Kisumu, which was to be domiciled at Mama Grace Onyango, and a budget of 5 million shillings was given to the Department of Culture. As we speak today, the money has not been allocated to us, and it is alleged that the instruments have been bought. Then at the center, we have what is called anthropometric talent assessment machine. We have a machine that was donated by World Talent Federation, which can detect the talent of children 20 to 30 years, scientifically and professionally. Number 9, proposed NYANZA Hall of Fame and NYANZA Arts Award. This is a place where we feel strongly that the people who have made the unique contribution or the greatest contribution should be recognized, and their portrait should be on this particular wall, Then now, so it is NYANZA Hall of Fame and NYANZA Arts Award. So there would be need for awards every year. Then now in conclusion, way forward. What is the role of universities in this journey? The universities around NYANZA have to play a significant role by enhancing the creative industry. 2, corporates, embassies, and banks. Corporates and banks should come out and start supporting arts, because in exchange, they also get publicity by having their banners being placed. Media houses should also come and support creative expression. The city of Kisumu should also play a critical role. Then, I'm almost concluding. Then we have the governors and the county cadres. So the governors should play a role. MCAs, women rep, MPs, senators should also come and support this creative expression. Like they have the bursary fund, they could come up with arts fund. Then we have Lake Region Economic Bloc. Should also come out strongly to support arts. So in conclusion, just give me a minute. In conclusion, I want to quote, and I want to quote 2 people. As I said, I also quoted. I want to quote Shakespeare. This is what Shakespeare said. If music be the soul, if music be the food for the soul, play on. Bob Marley stated, one good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. So hit me with music, brutalize me with music. So ladies and gentlemen, so we need to change the paradigm shift. So as long as we'll be having technocrats managing arts and culture, this is just a dream. Arts will not move anyway. And that is why the story of Oluoch Kanindo, and that is the story of Barry Gordon, they were not anybody's employees. They had passion. And if Oluoch Kanindo happened to have been a minister of arts and culture, this country would have been different. Matiba became the minister of sports because he had passion in sports. There was a very big transformation. So the first thing that we need to do is to change that. The governors must make sure that their ministers for arts and culture must be people who have passion in arts, not just anybody else. Otherwise, we'll be wasting time. Art is the greatest industry. but we must change, the government must change that misconception. Art is not entertainment. Entertainment is just part of art. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Scott, Mr. Scott Jack Eric will finalize this session. He will speak for just about 3 minutes. I might appear rude, but there's a reason. This session is called Accelerating Youth Participation in NYANZA's Development. If we don't listen to ideas about the youth, mlifikiria ati Gen Z walikuwa kwa streets, ngojeni watakuja. So Mr. Scott, speak in 3 minutes and we can go play football.
God is good and all the time. Thank you. My name is a bit unique. I'm Scott Jack Eric. I don't want to go about the history about my name. I hail from Kano, but stay at one of the biggest slums in Kisumu County, that is Obunga. I am a teacher by profession. I teach mathematics and business studies. That's why I'm going to use the formula of speed. Thank you so much. I had the opportunity to be part and parcel of the team that gave our girls an opportunity to go and showcase football talent in Spain. That is under 19 girls who went and present our nation for World Cup competition. It's under 17. Thank you. Fellow panelists, brothers and sisters who are here. It is true that what we are going through now, or what we are doing today, was did back in Nigeria 30 years back by a community called Igbo. Shortly, when Igbo realized that political goodwill or political space was not on their side, they came back as a community and said, we have opportunity and we have gold with us. We are talented in football, performing art, and creativity. Today we are talking, as we are talking today, Igbo is the one controlling the economy of Nigeria because of sport, performing art, and creativity. I might give examples, but because of time, I will just go directly to our region. We're made of 6 counties. I feel like even having some tears because I remember very well, I was so good in soccer. My talent was identified back then in a very small school in Seme, that is DMO Primary School. And I was scouted by then the giant of football, Kisumu Day. When they approached my dad that we have seen there's a future in this young boy. Being that I was so good in mathematics, my dad said this to them. You want to kill my home? I'm asking, you want to kill my home? My son must study. I didn't know about all this, but today as we're speaking, those who are in my age mate now earn more than what I'm earning in this my profession, teaching. How I wish I could have power to tell my dad that I'm not going to let you down. I will work hard and also enhance my talent. The talent was nurtured and killed in Moi University. So when you hear Moi University, there's a lot of things. So my talent was killed in Moi University. I also emerged that I also have another talent, that is stand-up comedy. When life was so tough in Moi University, I started to do what we call stand-up comedy, so that I can even get something to pay for food and a bit for bills. But that's aside, we're here. This county is blessed. I don't want to talk about issues, but I want to talk about facts. We have counties of Luo side, and we have counties the other side, that is Nyamira and Kisii. We are blessed in this sector. Football, rugby, boxing, and athletics. Let us specialize on those. Let us not have a lot of sports. But I'm very sure in this hall, I'm very sure that all of us had talent in sport, but was not nurtured, tapped, and evaluated. It is high time as a region to speak our mind. We have leaders, and I think that my sister here, how I wish that we could have this platform before them there. But ni sawa. We have leaders who want to use sport to elevate their political ideas. They will come with 2 balls and request for a picture. That I supported this team with 2 balls. Then I will go directly and give the idea of way forward. We have a structure in education calendar as far as sport is concerned. You agree with me that today if Kisumu Day is playing Agoro Sare or playing Ongecha, and go and access the attendance there, and compare today Gor Mahia playing Shabana or in any team around Kisumu, the number of those who are going to attend the school game is high and compared to the Premier League. Why? Why? Let us come up as leaders. I'm praying that let us go and talk with them. We have talents that can generate income in our region. There's this young man that need to be assisted today called Benson Omala. I trained Benson Omala at Manyata United back then. Today, Benson Omala has no club. Almost lost his life when the agent, these crook agents, took him to Lebanon. All of us know what is going on in Lebanon. But thank God, he was rescued so quick. Who has talked about Omala? Nobody. Omala is the next Olunga and other players within the region. Let us go to recommendations. I will not take much of this 2 minutes, as I promised. We talk about taxes that are being imposed in these cooperatives. Today, we are talking about a good team in Kisumu County that is called Kisumu Holsters. The other day, they received a termination letter from the county. As a lover of football, I'm so down because we don't have even one single team playing Premier League or Kenya or National Super League. Who are these leaders? Who can take up Kisumu Holsters? Those boys and girls, those boys who are there, they are from our area. Almost 40 is going to be unemployed. We have a professor. But what about the Department of Sport Culture? Please, leaders who are here, have my sentiments reach to leaders to rescue Kisumu Holsters. After Kisumu Holsters, we talk about Mara Sugar in Migori, playing EPL. Please, assist them. We talk about Shabana, sourcing the talents from the grassroots level. Let us assist them. My parting shot, as a teacher, we tap, we nurture, we give to the society. You are the society. Let us change this region. And we can do it. Viva.
It's a young man. Just Scott, you should know that the next session that you've been eating their time is on leadership and governance. So as we leave, you stay around. Mr. Sopstone, what do you want to say? Can you say it from there so that I say the last word?
1, 2. Hi, everyone. Am I loud enough? Yes. Good. I just wanted to share our inspirational story. Maybe it could inspire us all here. Even as we wait for investors and government and county governments, I'm always reminded, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And when we started with 5 staff. Today we are working with 35 sculptors. When we started 2 years ago, our sculptors were making 5,000 a month. Today we have some who are making 80,000 a month. And so on 9th April, we decided to take a risk, and we will be at Muthaiga Golf Club, and we'll be part of the sponsors of the club night. This is to give them a platform, and we will carry them from Kisii, and they will be at the golf club. And if you have a friend who plays at Muthaiga, please invite them. Tell them the Kisii soapstone sculptors will be there, and they will be there to sculpt their pieces. And we hope by that day they will go home smiling better and hope of a future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Look, I love case studies. I'm a student of economics. I studied economics at Kisumu Boys High School and Moi University. I just branched off into literature. So I often think of myself as an economist. And all this, the reason, I beg the pardon of the organizers and the next panel, the reason I allowed these people to speak for as long as they could, these are case studies. These are real case studies. If you talk in football, you can't get much better than what she presented. If you're talking starting from point zero, he's just told us. If you're talking about a young man who is training people that can end up on the global scene, there is one there. Like I told you, Obat Masira was acting when I was in standard 5, if not 3. And Odera Gan used to run Kenya Cultural Center. So I know all these people. I appreciate them. I won't eat into your time. I don't want to repeat anything they have said. I just want to let you know that irrespective of what you think, what you do, how much you have, how big you are, wherever you are, the thing that calms you down, that brings you back to your humanity is art and culture. I don't need to repeat anything. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. God bless all of you. No, there isn't, because we are too late, and art doesn't really count very much. Thank you very much. Apparently, there are gifts for them. Somebody recognize artists today. Clap for them, please. So you want it first? Can you come for a photo? It's not the usual thing to stand, you put your hands behind, smile. Yes, smile as an artist. Ken Onditi. Yes, please. Look, I mean, the first thing I asked here when I came is where the Chamber of Commerce. So I'm happy that the next panel has the Chamber of Commerce chairman. And I'm going to write this in the newspaper about it, because I want the Chamber of Commerce guys to be here, to be the real top dogs here. So you go to be the top dog and organize how to give them. The Chamber of Commerce. This you just got to organize. The mic is here, it's yours, talk.
Thank you very much. Now it is time to appreciate the people who have given us the talk and the presentation. And we have some gift here which we want to give them. I'm not the chairman, Chamber of Commerce. I'm National Director, Chamber of Commerce, NYANZA region. And today with us here, we have Chamber President, Dr. Eric Ruto, who is, after this, will also be giving his speech. And in the chamber, we have also the host called Chairman Kisumu Chapter, Bwana Israel Agina. Yes. And we have also Chairman of Migori Chapter, Bwana, yes. And we have also our National Director, representing 4 counties of Western, Bwana John Shimaka. And then we have also our directors from the chapter, various chapter. Yes, by show of hand. Yeah, those are our directors. Yeah, that's how chamber is. I would like to call upon the host to come and give the first gift. Photo. I would like to call Director Shimaka to come and give the soapstone. That's a new name for him. Thank you. I would like to call Chairman Peter Orimbo Migori. Peter Orimbo to come and present the next gift. Thank you. I would like to call a director from Homa Bay. One of you, Mary Omega, to come and give the next gift. I would like to call Vice Chair Homa Bay. Sorry, I forgot. Vice Chair Homa Bay, Madam Rose Uso, to give the gift. So, is there anybody left? Yes. No, huh? Oh. The last person, huh? Who can give him? You. Myself, huh? Then announce.
We'd like to call the Director National to give our gracious moderator his soapstone gift.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Should we stand and stretch a little bit now that we have had a lot of soapstone in us? Let's stand up a little bit and stretch. Say hello to your neighbor. Ulize kama tulipata lunch mzuri. Let's stretch a bit. Did we have lunch? Oh dear. We'll get some tea. Stretch a bit, tafadhali. Let's stretch a bit. We're geared for a very, very captivating afternoon. Kindly be seated. Thank you very much. So my name is Michael Monari. I am the vice chairman of this conference. And in my day job, I am in the banking space, which, excuse me, can we be together? I've been in the banking space for decades, and therefore hearing what the creatives, as we call them in our side, is that there's a lot of potential there, and there are solutions around it, much as we could hear a lot of apprehension about the support. But we can take that another day. We are about to start a session that is on leadership and governance. Leadership and governance in the context of how can that be utilized to attract investors into this region, into Kenya and Africa at large. And we have a panel that's going to help us dive into this in details, and I would like to call them on stage. And leading us is Dr. Eric Ruto, who is the chamber president. Daktari, if you can come up here, probably sit in the center. Let's clap for Daktari. We've got Dr. Fred Okumu. If he's here, kindly join us. Then we've got Billy Ouko. Billy is here, kindly join us. Ambassador Erastus Mwenja. Ambassador is not in. Then George Okongo. Okay, I think we'll work with what with the ones who have turned up. So the objective of this session right today or right here is to highlight the effectiveness of leadership and the governance. We'll also dive into the strategies that we can leverage to get investments. Then we explore the region's potentials. Now, to set us rolling, we would like to have a keynote speech from Daktari. And Daktari is going to talk to us mainly on how we can foster commercial trade favorably in the region and in Kenya at large, with an emphasis on how can we be prepared to attract investors. And using the session that just ended, much as we were trying to raise how governments can support us, be it local or national, there's something at least our substance champion mentioned, that let's ask what can we do, not that the government can do for us. And that's why the professionals you had in the morning put this conference together. We came out and they put our resources in to attract investors to come around and look for opportunities of actors here, opportunities of sculptors, that one, and ensure that can we get the investors to go into that. Yes, the governments are there. Yes, they may not have opened the theaters for us, but how much? Oh dear. Okay. I'm sorry about it. Madam Helen Chepkwon. How could I miss that? Tomorrow she may close my account. Please welcome. I'm going to allow each panelist to introduce themselves, then you know who she is. My apologies. Yeah, so we really need to ourselves be out there to attract investors. So the governments cannot do everything for us. We can blame the government for anything and everything. But the question is, what have we done in our little space, in our little energy, in our little resources? Something like this, which has been prepared, which has been organized, which has been enabled by individuals, not the government. That's really the difference here. Now, with that, let me dive into the introductions of our panelists. And I wanted to come from them to avoid mix-ups like I've just done. And may I, madam, start with you using the microphone next to you, just your name, what you do, and we pass it on before we ask Mr. President to give us the keynote speech.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my name is Helen Chepkwon. I'm the CEO of KDIC, Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation. My job is to protect your deposits. And as you are aware, we are here for an investment conference. For investment to take place, there has to be an enabling environment. So our state corporation was set up to enhance financial stability in the country. And that is what we'll be talking about in a nutshell. Thank you very much.
So you're very protected, and that's why I said I need to be very careful when I'm doing these introductions. Karibu sana, madam.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Bill Oko. I'm a public health specialist and development consultant, and I work with EDRAC Associates as the CEO. And what we do is a lot of work around capacity building, around governance, leadership, and translating that into performance, and happy to be part of this panel.
Thank you very much. You can come last, since you're going to talk. No, introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, guys. Yeah, I'm Okumu Fred, and I am a senior lecturer at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology. And I'm also happy to be here for a fruitful panel discussion on leadership and governance. So we'll share a lot that we are also teaching our fellow students or Kenyans or the Gen Zs there on matters of leadership and governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now may I hand over to Daktari to take us through. He'll introduce himself and say the organization is looking after. At least Ken Onditi tried to bring it out, but it will come out properly from the president. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Michael. Before I start, I'm almost tempted to become an artist because you've taken us through some lessons, and I think that to demonstrate that you have done some influence on me and you've been infectious, is that I want to quote Chinua Achebe because I come from the other side of core science. You know, Chinua Achebe said that a man doesn't call his friends for a feast because they're starving. They have food in their homes. Equally, he doesn't call them to the village to watch the moon. They can watch the village from their home. So I think this NYANZA International Investment Conference and Forum is definitely what Chinua Achebe and what the artists and the culture has told us. But I don't want to be infected by you saying that you can spend all the time. You know, for a businessman, time is money. And the more money I spend, the more time I spend, the more money I'll be charged. So I would want to spend as little time as possible. I'm Dr. Rutoke Eric. I'm the Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry President. Indeed, it is an honor to be here today. I'm a business person in the healthcare industry. I run a network of hospitals and clinics in 5 counties in Kenya, starting from Nairobi, and 4 counties in North Rift. I'm also a manufacturer of equipment that measures the quality and the level of your immunity. So I want to keep you as long as possible in this world to make sure that you live as long as possible so that I can take care of you as long as possible. And when you make your wealth, I preserve your wealth. Distinguished delegates who are here and business people, I'm honored to have been joined here today by the great panelists who are here, and I also want to acknowledge the team from Kenya National Chambers of Commerce who are here. I know Ken Onditi. Engineers already recognized them, but I want to do that honor of recognizing them. So very quickly, our national directors, you can stand and wave. So we have Engineer Ken Onditi in charge of 6 counties of NYANZA. We have John Shimaka, who is representing 4 counties of Western Kenya. The chairman, kindly stand. We have the host chair, Israel Agina. Thank you very much. We have Migori Chair, Peter Orimbo. Thank you very much. We have Paul, thank you very much, Vice Chair for Migori. We have Pauline Akwach, the host Vice Chair. Thank you very much. Our directors from the county chapter boards. Yeah, thank you very much, led by Bishop Corinda there and the other directors. Indeed, it is an honor as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce to be here today. And I'm happy because I'm in the place where they say we have the second largest freshwater lake in this world. That is Lake Victoria. Equally also, I'm told that you have the highest concentration of professors and doctors. I want to attest that I'm Dr. Squared. I'm Doctor of Medicine, and I'm also Doctor of Business, and PhD also. So it can be Doctor Triple. So it means I'm part of you. I come from a place where if you throw a stone, you'll get the highest concentration of marathoners. That is in Eldoret. But that is where it stops. On the other flip side, we have a population of 55 million approximately, with a GDP of 113 billion US dollars, or approximately, 100 billion, approximately 113 trillion Kenya shillings. The GDP for NYANZA, I'm told, is slightly over the national average at 28,000, while the national average is 26,000. So clap for yourselves, you're doing well in terms of GDP. But I want to quickly compare yourselves with Israel, with a size of 22,000 square kilometers, and has a GDP of 600 billion US dollars. That is 6 times the size of Kenya. And equally, they have a population of 9 million. So we are known for having the highest number of professors and the second largest freshwater lake. But how do we build our economy? I would say, having looked and having traveled wide, is that when I was looking at the theme and the title of this investment conference, it is NYANZA International Investment Conference. From where I sit, before I introduce what the chamber does, is that I hope we can be able to internationalize businesses from NYANZA to go across this country, to go across Africa and the globe. I'm also equally the chair of the Private Sector Forum of the Great Lakes region, which is a group of 12 countries. So if you have any service or any product that you want to sell as far as Angola, I've got my phone here. I'm just phone call away. I can be able to give you market in that part of Africa. And if you're talking about the globe, we are affiliated to 177 chambers with 45 million companies, with the top 10 richest companies, starting from the most famous one currently, led by the guy who was the chief campaigner for Donald Trump. Anaitwa nani? Elon Musk, yes. They are members of the chamber. And I want to say that we are going to bring that network in the month of April, which I'm going to announce shortly. Locally, we have membership of over 50,000 companies across our 47 chapters. That is why you saw our members here, our chairs of different counties, and indirectly also through business associations, a group of network of 2 million companies. So in terms of opportunities for investment, I'd like to attest that there is no one who will build NYANZA, and there is no one who will build Kenya, and there is no one who will build Africa apart from Africans. So the international that we are supposed to talk is ourselves. And I want to give you a snapshot of one example. We're very good in comparing ourselves, and I said I want to be an artist. If you go to the Eastern Tigers, that is Korea, Singapore, the others, you will find that one company called Hyundai, which is one of the top 100 companies currently, was built by someone who finished class 4. And right now is the largest company globally. What we need to do as ourselves is to build our companies locally here. And we did our barometer, and to your shock, is that when we classified companies into small, micro, small, medium, and large, the large companies, we carried a survey of 1,981 companies. The large companies were 0.6%, while the second one was 0.3%. What does that mean? It means the local businesses are not growing, and they are not able to transfer themselves to be large companies. And we used the level turnover of over 500 million was the large companies. between 150 to 499 million were the media companies, medium companies. When we further looked at the large companies, these are international companies or multinational companies. What does that tell you? And we have facts from Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and KRA. 1,900 companies pay 70% of our taxes. So the 7.4 million businesses struggle to pay the 30% that is remaining. So it means we can never develop as an economy if we depend on the large companies. And what are we doing as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, and what are the opportunities for investment? When I look at the macro indicators, we know the interest rate, the inflation, all those things. I've looked at two things. One is our current account balance. That is, in terms of our imports and exports and remittance and the others. In terms of import-export, we've got a negative of 1.6 trillion Kenya shillings. So that is a business opportunity for you here in Nyanza. You don't have to go somewhere else to look for market. You don't have to go to the mountain to look for love. 1.6 trillion market is with us. We can remove oil because we don't have oil in Kenya, which is approximately a bill of 300, 400 billion. So we're still remaining with 1.2 trillion for the young people here in Nyanza and the business people to be able to explore. So as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, we are able to connect you across the country through the 50,000 companies, and we have developed an e-commerce platform called iSoko, and currently we have over 70,000 members who have joined it across Kenya and 4 other African countries, that is Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, and Tanzania. And you can be able to trade within Kenya and also internationally for us to be able to connect you. The other thing that we are doing as a Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry is to be able to expand local businesses. When Kenya signed and they ratified the African Free Continental Trade Area, towards the end of last year, we've started 2 programs for us to be able to export our Kenyan products to the region. So we have a program called Trade Connect, where we want to take 1,000 containers to these African countries. We launched in November and we took 35 containers. So I want to tell you, as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, we have the business intelligence, we have the market intelligence for you. So Nyanza, we are ready for you if you want to sell your product or your service across Africa. Secondly, we also have another program. We work with Trademark Africa. It's an organization supported also by British FCDO, where we are looking at exporting goods by the end of March of $3 million across East and Central Africa. And in the month of October, I took 20 companies. Unfortunately, there was no company from Nyanza to Zambia. And when we went to Zambia, the #1 company that sells water was established in 2019, is an Indian company, and it is the #1 company right now that sells soft drink beverages, water, sodas, and juices. So you as Nyanza, if the market here is not enough, you can go and invest. And out of those 20 companies, there are 2 already who got market to be able to supply that Zambia market, and that specifically is a company called, they sell the products that they call Afia, the drinks called Afia. So that is what we are able to do for you as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry. In terms of exporting to European Union, you know we signed the Economic Partnership Agreement. We have gone around doing roadshows in partnership with the Ministry of Trade, Departments of Trade, 27 counties to be able to sensitize you. Because we have that negative 1.6 trillion, we want to export to a very lucrative market under the European Union. And we don't have to look for investors. You know, our fish from Lake Victoria used to go to European Union. I don't know whether it is going, the experts might be here. I don't know whether we are able to do that. I have chambers of commerce who can be able to uptake your fish. So please organize yourself. And international markets requires quantity, quality, and consistency in supply. We can be able to link you to those kind of markets. To even add that kind of international exposure is, for the first time, Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry opened an office in China. And why did we do that? Because out of the 2.6 trillion goods that that we import, 1 trillion comes from China. So from where I come, we have someone called Laibon. Laibon is the one who can tell what will happen tomorrow. And the way he's able to tell is that he used to go to the neighboring village and see what they are doing. And they come and report. And that is how Laibon came. So I've sent one of the managers to China, and in the first 10 months of 2024, we were able to export goods worth $3 million US, or approximately 390 million Kenya shillings. And not very complicated products. There's a young lady who is exporting leather and belts. You know, belts are very expensive, if you know what I'm saying. So she's exporting to China currently, and up to now she's done 12 million. So Kisumu, mnaweza invest hapo. So we are ready for you to support you, to be able to expose you to international markets. We also do capacity building programs. We have a program called Jinwe Program in partnership with MasterCard Foundation, whereby we are training the young businesses, and our target is to train and also give them loans in the next 5 years. We started in 2024 to 2028 to target 225,000 businesses across Kenya, and that is micro businesses, and 4,500 medium and small enterprises, and to be able to create 500,000 jobs. So far, as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, we have been able to train 31,000 young people and young women. We have been able to disperse collateral-free loan. I know the banks were here, and I want to appreciate Kingdom Bank. I don't know whether they're here. They sponsored 15 of our exhibitors who are here. There's micro businesses. We're preparing them for the bank. Because in my survey here that I did, 42% of the businesses are getting their financial access through SACCOs and chamas. Another 25% is through annuity programs such as the government programs, Youth Fund, and the others. And the established and commercial banks, only 17% from the micro businesses. So there is a huge opportunity for the banking sector, and we are taking that to prepare them. So we have already loaned 535 million to 18,000 businesses in 2024. So NYANZA, if you are ready, if you want to invest, you come to us. And I want to give you 2 examples. There's a lady in Samburu. You know what happens in Samburu? They are pastoralists. She's exporting goats. She had a capital of 5 million. We gave her 14 million. That was the maximum that we could give under the program, under the medium enterprises. And she was able to increase her stock of export every week from 400 to 1,000, and increase our income 6 times. So that is the impact that we want to do. And I want to challenge the chairs of the chambers who are here and the business community which is here, that they can come for that program, although that section of large loans is only targeting 4,500 businesses for the next 5 years. There is also another business person in Nakuru. He does textile. He bought a machine, a common user machine, to be able to design fashion shirts, not uniforms, and was able to employ 2 more young people and increase his turnover by 10%. So that is what we do as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce. So what can we do for you in NYANZA? If you want local investors, we have them. Give us bankable investment projects. If you want market intelligence and market for your products, you tell us shelf-ready products. We can be able to help you to be able to market. And if you do not have those, we have started a Chamber Academy, and I hope Israel Agina, you can bring it to Kisumu, so that we can be able, you can come, we can train you, and our training is not the school training. It is on-job training. We'll be able to put some common user facilities in our Chamber Academy here in Kisumu. We are ready to bring investors in the aquaculture. By the way, Global Tilapia is our member, and we are able to shortlist them in 57 supermarkets in Dubai. So as you do Global Tilapia here, we are connecting them to international market. So if you're into that industry, and if you're also looking for a partner, we can be able to introduce you for purposes of joint ventures. And other agricultural, just such as sugar. I know there was a lot of stories about sugar. By the way, we don't have industrial sugar manufacturer in this country. NYANZA, that's a big opportunity. We have companies in Nairobi who are manufacturers of food, and they use industrial sugar. This is a belt that you produce sugar. You don't have to wait for an international investor to come, accumulate capital. I was told there was 500 billion last year, which was given to the private sector. Monari, I know you are a finance expert. You do investment banking. Please, we have the market. It's only that we are too lazy to be able to innovate, because most of us want to do wholesale and trading. By the way, when we poll, I'm going to share this, and it's in our website, 42% of businesses were in wholesale and retail. And it is not sustainable as a country. So it means we are just sharing very small opportunities in terms of business. We need to go into industrialization. And I'm told NYANZA here only has 4% contribution to the national GDP in terms of manufacturing, which means you are lagging behind. But I'm happy because you are 12 million and your growth rate is 8.75%. So there is good market, especially for us who supply goods, especially fast-moving goods and food. And for someone like me who is in healthcare, it means I've got to take care of you. So I'm going to come here. If you have an opportunity for me to invest in the healthcare industry, I'm ready. I saw there was one in Kisii of around 10 million USD. I think I'll be talking, if the guys who are here from Kisii, you have an investor standing before you here right now. However, we have also to challenge ourselves. And the guys who are here, you know, if you read the book of Lamentations, you know what happened there. So we should not say every time, serikali saidia. It was said by someone from Lake Basin. We should help ourselves. But as we help ourselves, we must come together to advocate. When we did our polling, there are 3 challenges that the SMEs have. Number 1 is limited access or high cost of finance. Monari, as a finance expert, last year, there are banks which charged as high as 26%. In China, whereby we are importing 1 trillion worth of goods, including toothpicks, including tilapia that comes to Lake Victoria. But by the way, we have advocated and they blocked that one as Kenya National Chambers, is that person is accessing at between 6 and 9%. So before you make profit, you have to pay the bank 26%. So it is not sustainable. It will never be sustainable for us. So we have to discuss the issue of financial access and credit as a country, because me as a businessman, there is no business, very few, that can give you a return on capital of more than 20% per year. So, and that is why we are busy looking for international investors. Why? They come here because they can access credit. Even when it comes to tenders, the guys who do roads here, why do we have international people who do very simple things? They hire sharp brains engineers from here, but they are not given contracts because they access credit at 2.5%. And access is even given without a collateral. So I think that is a subject that we have to discuss. The next was high taxes and unpredictable regulatory environment. We are talking about trading 54 countries, but I want to challenge the policymakers who are here and county governments. If you want to sell your goods, market and distribute across 47 countries, how many licenses do you need? 47 distribution licenses. We are talking about trading with Uganda, but before you reach Uganda, you have how many? 47 licenses. We have to remove. We have been advocating for that. We started with the Chair Council of Governors and my guru, her term ended. We have not finished. I saw Chairman Agina, you had a session here in Kisumu. We've done it for 2 years. That thing should be done within a day so that we can be able to trade across Kenya and even across Africa. The last one, of course, is lack of markets and low purchasing power, which Kenya National Chambers of Commerce is able to give you. As I finish, and to appreciate you for listening, is that for the first time in the African soil, we are going to host the largest business forum in Kenya in April this year from 9, 10, 11 at Kenyatta International Convention Center, which is going to be attended by the largest companies in the world. We are going to have 1,500 leaders of the chamber, including those economies that enjoy a GDP of around, from Europe, 16 trillion USD, USA, 27 trillion. So you'll be able to see them, interact with them, look for partnership, look for technology, or even look for markets for your products at KICC. And we are going to have county exhibition forums at KICC. So please welcome, plan your time for you to be there at KICC for World Chamber Federation Summit, which is equivalent to hosting Olympics or World Soccer Championships when it comes to the business side. Thank you very much. And please clap for KNCCI for bringing that business forum to Kenya. Asanteni sana. If I've talked too much, it's because of the infection that I've been given by the artists. So next time, I might not want to attend a session where the artists are, but you're very significant. You play a very important role. I think in the US economy, they occupy around 12% of the GDP, and we consume their products. Thank you very much.
Let's give a big round of applause for Daktari. Daktari, thank you so much. You've challenged us. You've challenged the business in this region and in Kenya in general. And some of these programs, to be honest, I wasn't even aware that you've started an academy, for example. So that awareness comes in when you attend such a forum. He has also mentioned, he's given us some metrics here, how many SMEs that have been trained, 31,000, working with MasterCard. The chamber has disbursed 535 million shillings. And the challenge, which is actually put across, is that how much of this came to this region. It's a very, very big challenge. And for me, Ken Onditi, your team in the region, you have that singular responsibility of getting the team here, particularly the youth, to get to know about these initiatives. Because clearly, when you listen even to the artists who are here, or the CCIs as we call them, they seem to be speaking to lack of some of the initiatives that have been highlighted here. So thank you so much, Chamber President. I think with that, I would like to turn to other panelists who are around, so that they can also share with us some of the aspects that, the knowledge that they have brought about regarding this governance and leadership. I want to start with Madame from KDIC. She's going to share with us some presentation she has, and that speaks to us in terms of this conference and how it can help us, particularly the younger people, going forward. Karibu sana, Madam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Monari. Maybe as they set up the presentation, by way of introduction, how many of you know about KDIC out here? You see? Slightly less than 30% of you know about us. And so Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation is a state corporation that was set up to provide deposit insurance to member institutions. Our members are the commercial banks, microfinance institutions regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya. And as we are talking about governance and leadership, at KDIC, we are currently managing 19 failed banks that have failed over the last 30 years. And when we look at them, most of them failed as a result of some governance issues, or there are some issues that caused to those failures of those banks. So the issue of governance is at the heart of KDIC, because we try to make sure that the banks are operating at very good levels and managing their risks very well, so that they cannot cause problems in the market. So as I had introduced, that our main mandate is to enhance public confidence in Kenya's financial system. Our bread and butter is on ensuring that we have financial stability in the country. And this is very critical for, it's the oil that really supports the business community, because when there is financial instability in a country, there will be no room for business to operate. And therefore, our main job is to make sure that these banks that are supporting investments and mobilizing savings do not fail. And therefore, our main job is to make sure that we put in measures to make sure that those banks are operating well so that they do not fail and cause interruptions to the financial markets. So because of time, I think I will not be I'll just explain who we are. We were set up under the Kenya Deposit Insurance Act of 2012, and we also have the KDIC regulations of 2015. We are associated with the International Association of Deposit Insurers, so we follow up on the core principles of deposit insurance. And our mission is to protect depositors and enhance public confidence in the financial system by promoting sound risk management and timely resolution. So, there's a house there, but I don't have to explain that. But basically, what that tells you is our core pillars. Our core pillars are four. One, as our core mandate of providing deposit insurance. The second one is risk minimization. I've mentioned that that is what we are doing currently so much, because we've seen that when we manage the risks that the banks are operating in, then therefore the chances of failure are minimized. So we go to great lengths to ensure that these banks, we profile them well and are able to monitor them. When they are deteriorating, we are able to have discussions with them alongside the Central Bank of Kenya, and we undertake some things behind the tent so that there are minimal bank failures. And I'm happy to report that we've not had a bank failure in the last 9 years, if you'll recall. So our third mandate is called resolution of problem banks. So when a bank has a problem and we are called to do receivership, our job is to either to receive, liquidate, and wind up problem banks. So when a bank has gone into receivership, our job is to ensure that we promptly pay the depositors of that bank, and I'll be giving you the numbers on how our coverage is supporting, ensuring that our customers are not greatly disadvantaged when we are doing a resolution of banks. And our last one is on institutional capacity and development. This is, we've realized that because many people do not know about KDIC, the actual effect of public awareness is the most critical thing, because we've had challenges. When a bank fails, we've been calling people to go and to come to us and receive their deposits. I mean, to be paid their monies from ourselves. But because people do not know of our existence, very few people have come back, they have come for their money. And that's a challenge as well, because when people do not know that they have a recourse, when a bank fails, and they know that there's a KDIC that will pay them up to 500,000 of their money. And incidentally, we cover 500,000 Kenya shillings of depositors' money, and that is about 99%, over 99 point something percent of all the deposit accounts in the country. We currently have 115 million accounts, and only 1 million accounts have more than 500,000 in their accounts. So basically, the aspect of knowing that there is a KDIC that would totally cover for your deposits then enhances people to mobilize their deposits and put them in the banks. I think in terms of the statistics, we currently have 37 commercial banks, 1 mortgage finance institution, and 14 microfinance banks that are our members. Those are the ones that are covered under the KDIC. There are some microfinance institutions that are not covered, and therefore, if in case of their failure, you may not be able to get the protected deposits from them. As I mentioned earlier, we currently have 19 institutions under liquidation. Some of you might not even remember, we had banks, Trade Bank, Post Bank, Daima, Thabiti, very many banks that have failed, the latest being Chase Bank and Imperial Bank. Those are banks, 19 of them that are under liquidation. So our job on a daily basis is to try and recover funds from those people who had taken loans from those banks and pay the depositors on their monies. We cover 500,000, and currently our fund balance, we build our fund over time through payment of premiums. The commercial banks and microfinance institutions pay premiums to us, and that is what we use, and we invest those funds, and that is what we use to build the fund. And currently our fund is at around 248 billion, and that is the money that is used, if in case of the unlikely event of a bank failure, that is what is used to pay the depositors. And in terms of risk management, we currently do what we call a risk-based premium assessment, where we charge banks and microfinance institutions based on their risk. And this is meant to encourage them to really follow international standards on their risk management, therefore minimizing their risk of failure. And therefore, whenever they go lower in their standards, then their charges, they are charged higher than the previous year. I think I've gone very fast just to highlight to you about our institutions. I seem to have a different presentation, but it is fine. We can use the same one. Currently, we are paying customers of banks. Imperial Bank, we are currently paying depositors of Imperial Bank. They are protected deposits. Kenya Finance Bank, if you knew about Kenya Finance Bank, and Post Bank. We recently just closed on the BT Bank and Trust Bank and Chase Bank. But if there are any customers that have had their deposits in those banks, they are welcome to come to our offices and lodge their claims. Because what we are trying to do is to make sure that our depositors get back their money. I know it has taken a long time, but we are working towards ensuring that the depositing public are confident in putting their money in those banks. So what we are doing currently is partnership with the stakeholders. We are currently partnering with counties to enhance the public awareness. And I'm glad to say that over this, maybe the last 2 or 3 years, the public awareness about ourselves has increased. Because when it does that, when people are aware, therefore the sudden urge to go and withdraw money from one bank to another is minimized. Even myself, as a CEO of KDIC, I get into some family WhatsApps, and I hear an auntie is telling me, withdraw your money from this bank and put into this. And I'm telling them, I'm the one who has this data. I'm the one who knows which bank has any issue. They're saying, no, you go and withdraw from this, take it here. Can you imagine if this is going around all over all over the country? That would be causing a lot of instability in the country. But when people know that even if there were issues within a bank and the other, then there is a KDIC backed up with a strong fund that would pay them within 7 days their deposits. And currently we are covering 99% of them. Then there will be no issue about that causing panic in the market. And I can assure you, as as a mini regulator of the banks, that our financial system is resilient and is stable, and therefore people do not have to have that panic of putting their money in the mattresses or putting them elsewhere. I hear what Dr. Ruta had mentioned, that 46% of the money, of the credit, comes from SACCOs and other financial integrators. It is true, and therefore this is a challenge to the formal banking system to be able to be sensitive to the needs of the business community and be able to not have all their money invested in government paper and therefore increase on their credit to private sector. Maybe my last slide, I will just be mentioning on what we do as KDIC, or what the financial system does to support economic development in the country and to support savings and investments. By virtue of our job is to try and mobilize savings. Savings is equal to investment, and therefore that is why the government is so keen on ensuring that the financial system is stable, that more banks are encouraged to mobilize the savings, because once the savings come into, then it can be utilized now by the business community through lending for the economic activities. We also do deposit protection. That's our main job. And by virtue of providing that deposit protection, it enhances the confidence by the public. I think I've mentioned on financial stability and also on technology and innovation, using various ways to ensure that the financial system is at pace with what is happening in the international world. We as at KDIC are also trying to use these technologies to ensure that we do predict or use AI to predict the likelihood of the probability of default or probability of failure of these banks, so that we are able to prevent them from that failure. And all this calls out for cooperation and information sharing amongst both the financial sector regulators and the community as a whole, so that all of us are aware about what's happening in our financial ecosystem and what can be done to bring about that stability. So the key takeaway for us as KDIC is that we are trying to bring about public awareness about our existence, because when people get to know of our existence, then they are able to put in their money in the banks and therefore bring about a higher financial inclusion and a better financial stability in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A big round of applause for Madam Helen Chepkwony, who has really highlighted in depth what KIDC's mandate is, and something that speaks to this conference. A few points that I picked. KIDC is there to enhance public confidence in our banking system. A very big requirement, a very big conformity. If anybody is looking into a market, the first thing people ask is that, what's your banking system like? If I invest money in Kenya, will I be able to take it out, or will I invest it and it becomes part of the 19 failed banks that she talked about? But the good news out of that also, I picked a point that for the last 9 years, going to a decade, there hasn't been any failure of a bank. So, Madam, congratulations for that. Let's clap for her. That's a big thing. At least for 10 years, no failed bank. And there's also some knowledge here that a lot of people whose money is stuck in those failed banks have not gone to collect it. Madam, maybe you'll answer it later. How do you go about getting the public to know about that? I see you advertise a little bit, but do you, for example, speak to local radio stations or through Ngao or something, so that people can pick their money? People need their money. Thank you very much. I think with that, let's move to the panelists, to the other panel members, and I would like to now ask, I think Dr. Okumu would like you to help us understand how one of the points we had put here, but you can bring it out in your own words, in the leadership and the governance practices that can foster an environment, a conclusive or investment that can attract investments into the various institutions. But in other words, what we're trying to find out, for example, let's use the artists who are here. Much as they would like to attract investors, do they have structures that an investor can really sort of go in and say, if I put my money here, I will be able to get a return? I know you've taught that, I know you've gone through that, so if you can help us break it down so that our people can be prepared to be ready in terms of governance. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Bwana Moderator. Again, welcome, panelists. Thank you for the insights we are sharing together. And I want to welcome everybody on board so that we can share out on what we have under leadership and governance. My part will be to share with you more on issues to deal with effective leadership and also good governance practices that would enhance investor confidence in our markets. And I want to just correct the moderator a bit. I don't teach this. Yeah, I'm actually a chemist. I teach chemistry, but I practice a lot in terms of nurturing young Kenyans in leadership skills. I am a mentor, actually. Thank you for that. Again, before I proceed, I want to request, maybe I would have loved to ask a question directly to the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. You were talking about, you are telling Kisumu that you are ready for Kisumu. I'm just wondering, where have you been? Because this is 2024. Probably you should have highlighted this case so that people like Momanyi, who is just right here with Soapstone, should have already been able to access you before, earlier than this conference. Because it looks a bit interesting when you are telling us you can also be able to reach out to Zambia and South Africa. And those are international markets. And we have Soapstone with us here, right here in Kisii, in Tabaka. So just as a challenge for you, maybe in the industry, maybe make it more easier that you can reach out to everyone, maybe the people at the ground level, because I believe the current regime has this better agenda where we talk about the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. So if you start from people at that level, then we are going to be able to reach as many people as possible. Now, again, I just want to ask a question. In the morning, we had a session in the plenary hall there by 1 PS, I think PS Madam Njagi, if I'm not wrong. And also we had somebody from Ken Invest, I think somebody by the name John Mwendwa. They talked about we want to harness as much as products that we can get within Nyanza region. My question to the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, we have enough bananas, I believe so, in Meru and in Kisii. Probably, can we ship this one to South Africa so that we help South Africa reduce the burden of buying bananas from Ecuador? And Ecuador is in South America. And if they can get it as close as Kenya, probably we can tap that and build each other as Africans. So that was just something to ask. I thought I would have that opportunity to ask it, probably to you directly, now that you have access to the international markets. Now, coming to what we have to talk about on leadership and governance, in as far as building the investor confidence, this is a very good topic that is coming in right at the time when you said is under siege. And Trump has decided to do his own things. And we as beneficiaries of donors, we are at their mercy of their policies. And the best we can do is to accept and probably move on. But I believe our governments can find a way of accommodating and be able to absorb the shocks that is currently happening. Mostly, those affected mostly are in Nyanza, for your information. And some of my friends who are discussing this week, those in the programs to deal with HIV/AIDS are mostly affected on this. And this, I believe, probably we can look at United States as an investor, and they're investing part of their income in the health sector in Kenya. So probably they have lost confidence, or they're not seeing the value of their input in terms of the programs they're running here. So these are part and parcel of what we need to look at in terms of leadership and effective leadership and having better governance structures that will help us build the investor confidence. So one of those things I want to talk about probably on leadership is, I can say in Kenya at the moment, the best industry that fetches the highest in terms of take-home is the politics industry. If you're a politician, I think in Kenya, you can pass through the eye of a needle. But for us who are in the academia, and some of us in the industry of business, you have to struggle your way through, including through those 47 licenses you just talked to us about today. If you want to sell your item to Uganda or Tanzania, probably a number of licenses are waiting for you. But if you're a politician, probably you may have only one license to go through. I don't know how best and who should address this, because in the spirit of equity, which is what we need to have under leadership. If we look at the Article 73 of Chapter 6, we talk about leadership and integrity. Can our leaders really advocate for these kind of initiatives? Or do we have to find our way out in terms of reaching out to markets that we are not able to reach due to bottlenecks? Again, this brings us to the concept of trying to work on the investment bottlenecks that are around us. Quite a lot of them, the major part of it we have is the bureaucracy, hurdles that we have, and also we have the legal uncertainties that we just talked about. Some people want to, the kind of registration procedures they need, maybe from the state law offices, they're lengthy and they're involving, and at times you have to part with something. So we are trying to teach our fellow Kenyans, maybe through the education system, like where I come from, on the best tenets to follow or to come up with in line with good governance structures and also leadership. But you find that at the top, these are micromanaged by people who are spending much of their time in parliament. So we have limitations when it comes to access to some of these markets that we need to have. In the context of NYANZA, I identified some key sectors that maybe are very, very important, because when I got the invitation, I was to talk with respect to NYANZA directly. We have gaps in NYANZA in terms of industry that maybe we would want to advocate or push through the leadership, and if there are proper structures in governance, they can help us open up the space and the market space in NYANZA. One, we need to have, probably if there's a better way of putting it, maximum utilization of the Lake Victoria. I saw there's somebody coming in, a private sector, who wants to bring a waterfront around the lake. Probably if the idea comes out well and get given the green light to run up, I think it will be one way to start opening up the water, the Lake Victoria region in terms of utilization of the water body that we have. I don't understand why Cape Town as Victoria and Albert waterfront and effectively running and giving them a lot of money in terms of tourism, but Lake Victoria is underutilized and only left to small resorts along the lake and small beaches, which do not give us as much. In the morning, Mr. John Mwendo talked about the contribution of Lake Region to the GDP. It was in fewer millions, and it was not so significant enough. And I believe if we tap into those areas which are not utilized, we can be able to increase our fair share in the GDP contribution in the country. So some of the initiatives I would have proposed to the leadership around, I think I had an opportunity to interact with the city manager. I think he was around today. He's a homeboy. It's called Mr. Balawanga. And I think I like the initiatives the county is doing at the moment. Mr. Balawanga recently talked to us about the fact that they're trying to open up the space in Kisumu, creating industrial zones all the way up to Chiga and Kiwos. And I believe these are initiatives that will open up the space for Kisumu to grow. We are seeing a lot of affordable housing units coming out next to the stadium, and we believe if things go the right way, this will create a lot of influx in the town or in the city, and we are going to have a bigger market or a target group for whoever has something to sell. Now, The main challenge that we may have in terms of investment bottlenecks in Kisumu, maybe in Nyanza at times, is political instability. That is one factor that has really dragged Kisumu in a way. We might not feel comfortable tackling this, but we hope as time goes by, with the rearrangements we are finding in one way or the other, politics plays a central role in the Lake Victoria region in terms of investment. So for us to build in the investor confidence in this area, we also have to urge our leadership, our team of leaders, that they help us work on this. Because this is an aspect that is beyond the citizens at times, and at times it's a business arrangement that we're having in terms of politics. So if we have a situation or a platform where we can request that the leadership work towards having harmony in terms of creating an environment for political stability, then we are going to have as much socio-economic growth and development taking place within the Nyanza region. Just again back to National Chamber of Commerce, just a question to you, probably maybe to other industry sectors. I don't know whether you've evaluated the impact of gambling and betting in the socio-economic growth of Kenya. It would be interesting to see the statistics there, because currently it has attracted a good number of youths, and I have a feeling we are losing the youth in the process also. Probably you can highlight to us how we can, the benefits of these kind of initiatives, because I believe maybe in your forums, if you have the youth hubs in the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, those youth hubs can be able to help create awareness among the youth on initiatives that can best fit them in the society in line with the investment. I would also suggest things like urging the youth to invest in available portfolios. You talked about bankable investments. There are portfolios which I believe are available in the Nairobi Stock Exchange that they can be able to get into. So these are just few highlighted areas I wanted to talk about now that I have shared a platform with the KNCCI. Okay, thank you. And again, in terms of academia, where I come from, we are trying our best to try and incorporate aspects of leadership and governance in our curriculum. And we do hope that as time goes by, we will be able to integrate this just like we did with HIV/AIDS, which was a very big scourge in this country. Until now, at least most of our students at first year have to come and interact with HIV/AIDS studies at first year. So if possible, we're going to see how to integrate leadership and governance as best tenets for our youth to grow up with. Because of time, I will not want to repeat so much of what I had, but I want to thank the conference organizers for the time and the opportunity they gave me to come and share a little bit of what we have, and also for those who came to listen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kumu. Let's give him a big round of applause. Now, we are running out of time. We were actually out of time, and there's even more pressure because Chamber President has to catch a flight. But my last speakers agreed to be very brief. Then we'll do a small group photo and conclude. So thank you, guys. Let's just receive one more, very few remarks. Then we can do probably plenary with one or two questions.
Sounds good. Thank you, Monari, and good evening, team. I want to be very cognizant of time, and one of those consciousness of leaders and leadership skills is to be adaptive. And so I'll go off script and perhaps just appreciate the chamber chair for your insights and the panelists. We were to talk really about leadership and governance. We were targeting mainly the youth. You can see the youth are largely not here. The Chamber of Commerce is speaking to itself. So it just speaks really to how much then even the communities and where we live appreciate this kind of conference in terms of building knowledge. So sometimes we talk to ourselves in the boardrooms in the city, and we come back and talk to ourselves in the boardrooms and these conferences. And so there's an issue around disseminating that information to the right person, to the right target audience, to ensure it can be adopted. When I was thinking around effective leadership and governance, I didn't want to take it in the lens of governments, because everyone thinks about the government, asking about enabling environments, soft laws that are more easy to adapt with as businesses, but we never think really about ourselves as investors. Again, when we think about investments, we think about international investors. We don't think about ourselves as the first opportunity to invest in your own region and how prepared we are to really invest. So I was glad to see a young man who was talking about the soapstone and the creative team that were here, and they were talking about even leadership, what they are really uncomfortable about. They're saying we want leaders to be in the right place for the right leader. So if, for instance, there's a governor of Kisumu and he has several ministers, quote unquote, that the person who is being put as the focal point for one thing should be, if it's agriculture, should be someone who then is able to do that work. And that goes all around the issue of leadership, making right decisions at the right places to ensure that then you can able to achieve the issues that you need. One thing that I also want to talk about, especially for young people, and they are not here today, is that if we follow already the legislations that have been provided, there are so many legislations that cover the business environment. In terms of your business registration, the requirements that you need to have, how you need to remain accountable to those. Then we are able to start and actually grow our business. But we all complain at the back end. The regulations have been done. We keep putting blames in political leadership and government leadership, as opposed to having our own steps in terms of moving forward, as setting up and starting up. And I'm talking that as individual who decided to leave employment, invest in a company that does consultancy and work, and be able to actually propel and employ a number of people by just putting those regulations. Yes, the taxes are high. You comply and be able to move taxes. By then you realize that the government, for instance, even this year, has extended a lot of tax amnesties. But we all complain about the taxes without realizing that also stopgap measures that keep going. So when we think about leadership and governance, we want to just look from ourselves to think around what are we able to do for ourselves to ensure that we can thrive in the individual businesses that we want to start with. And that just reminds me with the last story, when you talked about Donald Trump, and in this sector, in the NGO sector, there's been a lot of stories around localization, which allowed local institutions, local organizations to invest, for instance, in the known forums for the international NGO works. And so a lot of funding was taken to local institutions. But guess what? A number of those localization agenda, what was called Journey to Self-Reliance, have failed. They have failed because it is taken to one institution, let's say, quote unquote, a university. The university leaders are all crumpling and fighting and not ensuring, or they're not having integrity. They are ensuring that even the investment that is coming all the way from the US down to maybe Bondo or somewhere is completely closed up. So when we talk about leadership and governance, it cuts across all levels. I think the major issue is really to just hold integrity, be able to serve, and be able to just follow through the right principles that are all enshrined, and I think those are academic, so to speak, that we are able to follow through. So I will not talk so much, cognizant of the time, but only to appreciate the team members who have been able to sit to the last end. Thank you, Munari.
Thank you very much, Bill. Thank you so much for that. It's a challenge to all of us. We complain a lot, but when you go into some of these organizations, particularly for the financials like ourselves, the level of governance is normally wanting, and he has broken it down so well. So we have come to the end of our presentations, and I wanted to take this opportunity to thank everyone, in particular, of course, our presenters led by Dr. Eric Ruto, the President Chamber of Commerce. Let's clap for Dr. Ruto, who has really given us a lot of information. Madam Helen Chepkwony, thank you so much for the highlights in terms of what George Okongo. No, it didn't come around. Dr. Fred Okumu, thank you so much. I mean, sorry that I said you're teaching, but it's about the same thing, but you're mentoring those children. Thank you so much. And of course, Bill, for wrapping it up like that. So, I don't know, Chamber President, I heard you being called out to 3 times. Do you want to speak to 1 or 2 of those as you conclude? Yeah. He's catching a flight. Okay. You can come here.
My name is Israel Agina. I'm the chairman of Chamber Kisumu County, and I want to correct my colleagues, the panelists from the academia and consultancy, that Chamber was not in charge of inviting youths to this conference. And therefore, you cannot tell Chamber that we are addressing ourselves. The amount they were supposed to pay at the gate, 10,000, was not going to come from Chamber. The organizers should have thought. But we as Chamber, we have several meetings with youth all over the county, and we have been financing youth in their small businesses. And you have figures which was read by Mr. Monari here. So that I think you understand. The issue of the lake and how it looks, that is a challenge to people who live around here, because there was a time I went to Eldoret, and governor for Eldoret at that time, Mr. Mandago, told me that we are forcing them to go to Nyali because we have refused to invest on the lake. And we also know why this region has been lagging behind, and we don't want to talk about it because I think everyone knows. We don't need to talk about it. Then you cannot even just blame politicians, because those of us who are in the academia, the students you are teaching are the ones who go on the streets, and they are the ones who attacked parliament, and then you say that it is politicians. Politicians are driven by the people. They do what the people want. So you cannot blame this person or that person. We all have to be blamed. Then I think that's enough. Okay.
Let's clap for Mr. Agina. You know, Chairman, this was an international conference, and we're focused on trying to attract investors in this region. And we are very clear from the beginning that professionals came together and tried to do something different from what has been happening. Nobody's blaming anybody. I think what was raised is a genuine concern about the youth. We've taken that in as organizers, and we will look at that. Chamber President.
Yeah, maybe very quickly, and thank you, Chairman, for helping me to say that Chamber is in Kisumu. I think for the last 1 year, we've trained more than 500 youths. Most likely out of the 18,000, we've given those small loans. They're here in Kisumu. And in this region, for benchmarking, we have taken one lady from Migori, Chairman. What was her name? The one who went for energy. Josephine. Josephine. And I think Ms. Akinyi is going to China next week or 2 weeks. So we're here to train them and expose them to world-class. Actually, she's going for intelligence manufacturing. So we are here. But what I would like to urge the business community, please become members, subscribe. Is Chairman, I think for Kisumu, if you're a small enterprise, you pay an annual fee of 5,000. And for that, you'll be able to get it. For Zambia, we had subsidized for 6 days, and for us to take you around Zambia, for you to stay in a 5-star hotel, and for the tickets, we subsidized, and you only had to pay 90,000. I'm sure Softstone Cooperative Society would have sent one person, and they could afford that. So I would say, yes, we are there. Maybe only the information you're not there. On the issue of bananas, bananas, what we need to do is this issue of African Free Trade Area is extremely serious. We have to write the rules of origin, because you see, South American bananas are in South Africa cheaper than us, because our cost of production is high. So, and it will speak to the next question. The directive by Donald Trump, I would say, in short term is very painful, but in long term, it is the best thing that has happened to Africa. And I want to applaud the president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, for calling me out. Very quickly, we need to introduce duty to Microsoft. I went to Malaysia and they have 300% for any vehicle which is imported. So trade in technology and services, which is huge, we need as Africa to quickly have our solutions, introduce very heavy duty for those kind of technologies so that we can be at the same par. And whatever they're giving us are leftovers. So I would say, from where I sit, we need to rewrite the rules, be very tough, introduce duty to trade in services and technology so that they can feel that they need us and we need each other and we cannot be beggars. And maybe finally, on look at the price. What was your final question? Gambling. The risk that we had initially was flight. Because the major owners of gambling are foreign companies, so it was capital flight, and I was very happy Matiang'i did some action at one point. He comes from this region, so that was very good. Two, it concentrates well in the rich. So poverty will come down. So I would say we have to look at it. There was something about national lottery. I think that is where we can get people to go there. So I think we really have to highly control gambling. But those are the effects, and I think we have, government really has to come in. So thank you very much. I think there was someone who wanted to raise something. Yes.
Yeah, just 1 second. Madam wanted to say something. You also had a question. You'll be next.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that as KDIC, as part of our communication strategy and enhancing our public awareness, we've set up town hall meetings. We recently had one in Homa Bay and Meru, and we are setting up many others to just make people all over the country to be aware about financial sector, financial literacy, and deposit insurance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, madam. So you've heard about that. Please, if you can do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, panelists and the moderator, for this session. You know, my name is Joseph Kwaka.
Yeah.
I come from this region.
Okay.
I was part of
which sector are you in?
From development sector and investment businesses, sorry. When we were trying to organize this conference, when I was part of the team from the beginning, we thought this session was going to talk about how governance and leadership can create a conducive environment for investors, both local and foreign. But the discussion has gone a little bit outside that, and we have not focused on that. See, we had in mind that any region or any community that has ever transformed itself in terms of economic development has had good leadership that is guiding the region or the community. Has the political leadership of this region played its part in that? That's the question. Number two, we have a system with governors and county governments whereby if you set up any small business, the people who come to collect taxes are like hawks on you. So they are behaving in a way that does not encourage local investors to take off fast with their businesses. There is no incentive. They come in to want to even shut your business down before you take off. So those are the issues we were going to talk about under governance and leadership. Lastly, just a few weeks ago, Dr. Mukisa Kitui came to Siaya and talked about what American investors or world investors from out there would talk about this region. If somebody invited them to invest in this region, they would perhaps consult a man called Calvin Burgess, who was the MD of Dominion Farms. Multi-billion investment in this region. What did the politicians do to him? What did he come out in the press to say about politicians? So when we talk about leadership and governance, those are the issues. We don't want politicians to pry into and prey into the businesses that they are extorting for money for campaigns and being, donations and so on. These are the issues, Mr. Monari, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, we get the frustrations that befall us, we in business. That is at county level, at national level, all over, those things are there. But an enabling environment is actually in the premise of government or governments. Yes, this is an international forum. We interrogated that and we said, look, the reason we invited those leaders to be part of this is for them to come when they are giving their speeches. They give us that commitment. And you hear them, everybody who speaks, if you listen to those governors, everybody will say that my government will provide an enabling environment. But when you go to, as we say, vitu kwa ground, yeah? When you come kwa ground. So I don't know what exactly we can do, because Wainoma Bay, we had that. We were in Kiss, you hear it, but what happens? So what we're trying to do is to keep on hammering it on them to make that commitment. And I don't know, there's God's intervention, but they say that every other day. In their speeches, if you read through, we even have, Ken Invest was over there, it's even got we've given our floor, Victoria Room or something like that. The brochures that are there say that you come in, it's a one-stop shop, one-stop shop. I hear you. Thank you so much. So, then a quick one, last. Otherwise I'll be accused that I'm leaving the youth out. Where's the... Okay, come here. Come. Where's the mic? All right. Could you help me? Can this guy go first?
Oh, it's okay.
We only have one mic.
Thank you very much. I'll be very brief. Mine is a question and a concern. Question. I believe that communication...
What's your name?
My apologies. My name is Caleb Makori. Yeah, I'm from the media and the mental health and wellness space.
Mental health.
Yes, and communication as well.
Okay.
So I believe that communication is a very integral part of proper governance and leadership. And right now in this country, one of the biggest problems we're having is communication breakdown. It's in a very bad state right now. The government seems not to understand what is happening on the ground, and sometimes on the ground we don't know what's happening in the government, right? So both of us are on the polarized extremes of poor communication, And that's a big problem. I mean, right now, if you ask a nominal youth on the streets, do you know what chamber commerce is? Trust me, 90% don't. Not because they are just ignorant, but because they are not purview to the information, Because right now, anyone who is a youth, anyone who is an investor, anyone who makes deposits should be able to know that once I make deposits to Chase Bank and Chase Bank closes down, I should be able to access my deposits, but they don't know that. So I think in the corporate space, as we are leaders, as we're here, the panelists, it's important to invest so much in communication. We have communication and public relations offices, They should be able to be airing your stories out there. You should be able to telling us, this is what happens. Create, even if it's 10-second, 20-second videos every week on educating people. This is what our company, Madam CEO, does, Tell us this is what happens when you invest in our company. Tell us if you have ideas on business, if you have ideas that you want to take to Zambia. We have a program coming up in the next 2 weeks. People need to know what is happening. So communication is very important.
Communication is very important.
Yes, and my concern was, as we were doing the very first panel discussion on art, sports, and creative economy, I was not sure there were people who were the relevant consumers of that information. Because for me, it seemed like we were just pouring out our hearts, right? So it's important that the enactors of this information, the implementers of this information, are able to be here and consume this information. If we say that the leadership on art and sports need to do this and this, how do they do it if they are not playing audience to such communication in such conferences?
Well, thank you so much. I think let's give a clap to the young man. Communication is key. all these institutions have handles, they're in Twitter, they're in all those spaces, but it's not very easy for everybody to go around that. I think because of time, may I ask the panelists, thank you all for your participation, to be upstanding for a group photo. And I understand there is a gift for the charter president as we take a group photo over here. Oman, you do that for us. Yeah, so thank you everyone. Asanteni sana. Let's clap for ourselves, please.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Tom Boya Owino, the president of Grandmothers Against Malaria. I just want to commend the chamber president, Dr. Eric Ruto, why he has been so successful. Dr. Ruto has been instrumental in philanthropy. Any business cannot thrive without philanthropy. Philanthropy means what are we giving back to the community? It's called corporate social responsibility. I've dedicated this umbrella to Dr. Eric Ruto because of his involvement in we have dedicated this umbrella to Dr. Ruto because of his involvement in philanthropy and helping orphans, and he has been supporting grandmothers against malaria through this chain of hospitals. And today, Dr. Ruto is launching Operation Rescue Sisters of Galilee. These are girls who are not able. To pay their school fees, and Kenya Chamber of Commerce and Industry has taken up this initiative to support the girl child to manage their education. And Mama Ida Odinga, as you can see there, will be crowned on the 25th of February this month, February this year. And she has taken the mantle of Mama Sarah Obama, who was the patron of Grandmothers Against Malaria. And the Kenyan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as you can see there, is an integral member and partner of this initiative. Dr. Eric Ruto, may God bless you for your support for the
There's one announcement. The speakers, the bus will leave at 7 o'clock. At exactly 7 by the reception. The speakers, your bus will leave at 7 o'clock. Thank you very much. Asanteni nyote.
Space.